I'm the Deaf Writer and captain of the starship Pentameter. A year ago I was kidnapped and transported 1 billion light years into space for reasons unknown. Deep thought and alien intelligence that survives in deep space presented me with a starship and told me to seek my destiny, whatever that might mean. It turns out my kidnapping occurred just as a monumental disaster struck my homeworld, and I'm now the last human being alive, seeking to preserve human culture by broadcasting poetry into the galaxy once a week. The Krell envoy we were supposed to meet last week never arrived. I've tried reporting this to the Emperor, but we have not been able to get through. We could remain here and keep trying, but I think it might be wiser to make our way to the next destination in our mission, Cleos 7. Additional. The sentient sun at the heart of the Rigelian system recently refused an honorary degree from its surrounding planets. In declining the honor, it stated that it already had 1 million degrees.
Hi, it's X-37 here, the synthetic first mate of the starship Pentameter. Our journey through space has taken us to many unusual places where we have seen many unusual life forms. We recently encountered the carnivorous denizens of Thrakis 9. They attempted to greet us in their own language, or rather in our own language. Unfortunately, what at first we hoped was a mispronunciation proved not to be the case, and we felt it best to leave in a hurry. They greeted us with the words, "Pleased to eat you." My captain is the last human being in the galaxy. Following the destruction of his home planet with the incredibly boring name of Earth, we have been drifting through space on the starship Pentameter, reciting poems and trying to survive the rigors of space travel. Right now we are making our way to the second destination in our reconnaissance mission, investigating why 3 Krell outposts have fallen out of contact with the Krell homeworld. This is the communications suite aboard the Pentameter that doubles as my laboratory. To pass the time, I employ my planet-sized intellect solving the galaxy's most pressing scientific dilemmas.
X-37, you're supposed to be setting up the broadcast space, not conducting any of your weird experiments. I'm sick of having to repair damaged equipment.
No, everything is fine. You banned me from doing any more experiments, remember?
You're lying again, aren't you?
Sucker. I have been attempting to teach single-celled organisms to engage in mathematics. It has so far been a signal failure, as the cells insist on dividing to multiply. Uh-oh, something's wrong. I think I'd better duck.
What in deep space happened here? X-37, I thought you said you were going to stop conducting those stupid experiments.
Sorry. Communications glitch. Can't get through.
Okay, bring up the interface. 3, 2, 1, and hello and welcome to the show. We are currently broadcasting our show while travelling with some urgency towards the second Krell colony that recently fell silent. We have urgent information to pass on to the Krell Emperor, but have not been able to get a signal through. I'm the Deaf Rider, and no matter what your species, number of heads, or planet of origin, you are all very welcome here. In other news, authorities on Caleb 9 have given the all clear after their recent astronomical emergency. The moon began devouring the smaller orbiting bodies of the planet, but is now, apparently, full. We have a number of rules that apply to our stream. Thank you for joining us. Let me welcome in our moderators today. Tim Tam, welcome in. Robotham J, welcome in. Great to see you here. And as usual, I really appreciate the assistance that you guys provide in the show. Let me see. Yes, the rules. Let's talk about our rules. We want to keep this place a great place to visit. So we have a couple of rules to help us. Here they are. Firstly, be kind. Be respectful. Keep the language clean. We welcome kids and families to our stream. Don't ask for or give away personal information just for your own protection. Don't spam our commands. Don't spam or promote yourself to other viewers unless you've spoken to me about it first. Be curious and willing to join in on the stream and take on a role within our universe. This last one is not compulsory. We don't, it's optional. But we do encourage people to take on a role in our universe. Tell us what planet you're from and what kind of species you are. Aside from that last rule, the other rules will be enforced and violators will be banned. Beyond that, we have a number of commands that you can use in the chat to make things more interactive and to participate in. So let me jump on in there and tell you about the commands. !W commands will list the commands that are available to you in the chat so that you can look them up at any time. !SL will show the poetry request list. And in a moment, I'll ask my moderators to set that up. !W applause will allow you to applaud our efforts here on the show. You can also use !W on fire, party, wow, cool, amazing, in order to react to any of the marvelous poems that we are playing. And you can also use groan. Groan is a choice from amongst our emotes if you are thinking that our jokes are just too bad for words. Interactively, you can !hug a user. If you use their username, you can throw them, attack them, sling them, or bomb them with regard to the little avatars that you can see roaming about at the bottom of the screen. So those are our commands. Some other features that you should be aware of include the chat itself, where you can interact here with myself or any of us here, and there go the commands on screen. We also have our punometer up here in the top right hand corner, where should you give us or place a particularly entertaining pun in the chat, you will earn a star. We look to try and get 5 stars on the board each week from our users, from our visitors. So please contribute puns in the chat. This week's featured poet is the magnificent Elizabeth Barrett Browning, who is being featured this week. We also have our poetry list here where you can see what poems are coming up. Please use our request list to take a look at the poems that are unavailable. You can see the request list link, and if one of my mods can put that up on screen, and it will take you to this screen where you will be able to request any of the poems, any of the 233 poems that are in our list and available for request here on the show. It may ask you to use your Twitch login to get in there first, but that's okay. Doesn't take any of your information. Click away. It's quite safe. If you happen to be lurking in the background today and haven't yet provided the show with a follow, please consider giving the show a follow. Mods, if you could put in the song list link, that would be really helpful. Oh, it's pinned at the top of the page. I'm sorry. So you can see it pinned at the top of the chat there. The link to our song list. And Tim Tam, thank you for adding it to the link to the chat there. Thank you very much. Well, let's get underway with our poetry request show today. Our first poem is our official and unofficial theme song or theme poem for the show, written by yours truly, the deaf writer. We'll just move forward until we find it and then bring it up. The Invitation to Dinner. Let's take that away and go one page further. The Invitation to Dinner, written way back in the dim dark ages of 1999. The Invitation to Dinner. It occurred to me that poetry and food is something that should be enjoyed and savoured with some wine, and so I ask you out to dine with friends, of course, and I, your host, will beg your company the most, for were you to absent yourself, there's not enough of worldly wealth to compensate me for the grief of losing your good company. And that was Invitation to Dinner by the deaf writer, our officially unofficial opening poem for the day. Let's take a look at what we have coming up next. We're going to be taking a look at our first poem by our featured poet today, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and the first poem on our list today is How Do I Love Thee by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Written in 1850, And this one comes complete with some original artwork that I've put together. Here we go. Our image to illustrate How Do I Love Thee, and of course the poet herself, Mrs. Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How do I love thee, let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. For the ends of being and ideal grace. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. Well, I kind of glitched that one, didn't I? So I think I'm going to give that a glitch. Glitch. Never mind, but that was Elizabeth Barrett Browning's wonderful poem, How Do I Love Thee? A poem of fidelity and love, rather than a poem of lust and infidelity, as often they can be. A rather nice poem, I believe. Welcome into any lurkers who happen to be in the background today. Let me see, where are we? Oh, we've got some fun facts coming our way. Fun facts are being delivered by, oh, hello, Be Like Dory from the planet Neptune. Welcome on in, just lurking in the background. Enjoy your lurk. I hope you have a good time with us today and manage to get lots of productive things going on in the background. Yes, and X37's about to jump in with our first set of fun facts for the day regarding our featured poet, who we just heard, the magnificent Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
Hi. While you're selecting a poetry request, I thought I'd tell you some interesting facts from my colossal storage and retrieval system. Born in County Durham, the eldest of 12 children, and quite the tomboy, Elizabeth Barrett wrote poetry from the age of 11. Her mother's collection of her poems forms one of the largest existing collections of juvenilia by any English writer. At 15, she became ill, suffering intense head and spinal pain for the rest of her life. Later in life, she also developed lung problems, possibly tuberculosis. She took laudanum for the pain from an early age, which is likely to have contributed to her frail health.
Thanks for that, X37. How are you doing? Oh. First time chat. Welcome in. Imoto Utsubiyo-chan. Welcome in. Lovely to see you there. And I hope you enjoy the show. Let's see. Last week we added 2 more famous poets to our trading card collection, and I should show you our trading cards that we've been building up very slowly. In response to the fact that out there in the real world, sportsmen get a lot of praise, and I'm not knocking the sportsmen, but I thought it would be wonderful to have trading cards for our poets. So here's our set of trading cards to this particular point in time. We have Edgar Allan Poe, William Shakespeare, and J.R.R. Tolkien in our set. We also added Sylvia Plath, Alfred Lord Tennyson, and Lord Byron last week. I'll make those disappear. And this week's additions to our trading cards are Walt Whitman and William Blake, cards 7 and 8. So my question to you is, who do you think we should add this week to our trading card collection? Famous poets that you enjoy would be greatly appreciated. Oh, thank you so much for the follow. Imuto Utsubiyu-chan. Got to apologize that I do not... I'm not very good at my Japanese pronunciation. I'm assuming that's a Japanese name, but welcome in and thank you so much for the follow. Greatly appreciated. So yes, think about that and add a poet to the list if you so can think of any, because I'd love to draw some more poets for you this week. Also, if you happen to be visiting us for the first thank you. Oh, thank you. I didn't get it too bad. I got it pretty close. Excellent. No worries, you nailed it. I'm assuming that's for the name. Jean de La Fontaine, a French poet. Ah, excellent suggestion. Thank you so much. Well, we will definitely try to add Jean de La Fontaine for our next week. I'll do that drawing during the week and add Jean de La Fontaine to our trading cards, our poetry trading cards. What's next? We have our third poem in the request list right now, and that is Puppy and I. I suspect that I know exactly who requested Puppy and I. Robotham J, of course. Puppy and I by A.A. Milne. And please jump in to our song list. And it could have been me, said Robotham J. Jump into our song list and make some requests from our list of poems. We have 230 odd poems available for choice there. This is Puppy and I, written in 1927 by A.A. Milne, complete with some original art by yours truly, here of the puppy, and also of A.A. Milne himself. Here we go. Puppy and I by A.A. Milne. I met a man as I went walking. We got talking, man and I. Where are you going to, man? I said to the man as he went by. Down to the village to get some bread. Will you come with me? No, not I. I met a horse as I went walking. We got talking, horse and I. Where are you going to, horse, today? I said to the horse as he went by. Down to the village to get some hay. Will you come with me? No, not I. I met a woman as I went walking. We got talking, woman and I. Where are you going to, woman, so early? I said to the woman as she went by. Down to the village to get some barley. Will you come with me? No, not I. I met some rabbits as I went walking. We got talking, rabbits and I. Where are you going in your brown fur coats? I said to the rabbits as they went by. Down to the village to get some oats. Will you come with us? No, not I. I met a puppy as I went walking. We got talking, puppy and I. Where are you going this nice fine day? I said to the puppy as he went by. Up to the hills to roll and play. I'll come with you, puppy, said I. And that was Puppy and I by A. Milne. For Robotham J, our first request for the day. Back here on the Starship Pentameter, I should point out that we have a great giveaway on our stream that I would like to point out. My son developed a game for my stream, and it's really something. So I'm going to show you the trailer very quickly for the game, and it's completely free to anybody that has followed this particular stream. It's just a very casual space game, and I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm really thankful to my very clever son for making it for me. Here it is, Poetry Quest Flight from the Krell, where you can see the Starship Pentameter making its way through many obstacles as it's chased across the galaxy by the Krell. It's a nice, easy pickup game for the casual player, though with enough challenge that I actually found it. It took me quite a few goes to actually get through it. And that's available at the address you see on the screen, and has also been added to the chat there for you as well. So please go ahead and grab that freebie, follow the link and download it. It's available for looks really cool. Whoever made this must be super smart. Yes, that's my boy. He is super smart. But please follow the link, download it. It's available for Mac and PC, and is good fun and just a way for us to say thank you to our viewers for coming in and giving us their attention and their time.
Hello, it is I, X37.
X37, you're visiting. What is it you want?
I'd like to tell a joke.
Oh no. What joke do you have for us today?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
I would walk.
A wood walk. A wood walk who?
I would walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500 more.
Oh, X37, please, please, please don't try to sing. That is awful, awful, awful. Well, folks, I think on that note, we need to get into some more poems. Let's take a look at what we have next. Our next poem is one of our featured poems. Elizabeth Barrett Browning again. And this time the poem is The Cry of the Children. So let's take a look. The Cry of the Children by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Written in 1843. Now, I can't quote the Greek effectively, but it is from Medea by Euripides. Alas, alas, why do you gaze at me with your eyes, my children? Do ye hear the children weeping, O my brothers, ere the sorrow comes with years? They are leaning their young heads against their mothers, and that cannot stop their tears. The young lambs are bleating in the meadows, the young birds are chirping in the nest, the young fawns are playing with the shadows, the young flowers are blowing toward the west. But the young children, O my brothers, they are weeping bitterly. They are weeping in the playtime of the others, in the country of the free. Do you question the young children in the sorrow, why their tears are falling so? The old man may weep for his tomorrow, which is lost in long ago. The old tree is leafless in the forest, the old year is ending in the frost. The old wound, if stricken, is the sorest, the old hope is hardest to be lost. But the young children, O my brothers, do you ask them why they stand, weeping sore before the bosoms of their mothers in our happy fatherland? They look up with their pale and sunken faces, and their looks are sad to see. From the man's grief abhorrent draws and presses down the cheeks of infancy. Your old earth, they say, is very dreary. Our young feet, they say, are very weak. Few paces have we taken, yet are weary. Our grave rest is very far to seek. And the old, why they weep and not the children, from the outside earth is cold. And we young ones stand without in our bewildering, and the graves are for the old. True, say the children, it may happen that we die before our time. Little Alice died last year, her grave is shapen like a snowball in the rime. We looked into the pit prepared to take her, was no room for any work in the close clay. From the sleep wherein she lies, none will wake her, crying, get up, little Alice, it is day. If you listen by that grave in sun and shower, with your ear down, little Alice never cries. Could we see her face, be sure we should not know her, for the smile has time for growing in her eyes. And merry go her moments, lulled and stilled in the shroud by the kirk chime. It is good when it happens, says the children, that we die before our time. Alas, the wretched children, they are seeking death in life as best to have. They are binding up their hearts away from breaking with a cerement from the grave. Go out, children, from the mine and from the city. Sing out, children, as the little thrushes do. Pluck you handfuls of the meadow cowslips pretty. Laugh aloud to feel your fingers let them through. But, they answer, are your cowslips of the meadows like our weeds are near the mine? Leave us quiet in the dark of the coal shadows from your pleasures fair and fine. For oh, say the children, we are weary, and we cannot run or leap. If we cared for any meadows, it were merely to drop down in them and sleep. Our knees tremble sorely in the stooping. We fall upon our faces trying to go, and underneath our heavy eyelids drooping, the reddest flower would look as pale as snow. For all day we drag our burden tiring through the cold, dark underground. Or all day we drive the wheels of iron in the factories, round and round. For all day the wheels are droning, turning, their wind comes in our faces, till our hearts turn, our heads with pulses burning, and the walls turn in their places. Turns the sky and the high window blank and reeling, turns the long night that droppeth down the wall, turn the black flies that crawl along the ceiling. All are turning all the day, and we with all. And all day the iron wheels are droning, and sometimes we could pray, O ye wheels bringing out in a mad moaning, stop, be silent for today. Aye, be silent, let them hear each other breathing for a moment mouth to mouth. Let them touch each other's hands in a fresh wreathing of their tender human youth. Let them feel that this cold metallic motion is not all the life God fashions or reveals. Let them prove their inward souls against the notion that they live in you or under you, O wheels. Still all day the iron wheels go onward, as if fate in each were stark, and the children's soul, which is God is calling sunward, spin on blindly in the dark. Now tell the poor young children, O my brothers, to look up to him and pray. So the Blessed One, who blesseth all the others, will bless them another day. They answer, Who is God that he should hear us, while the rushing of the iron wheels is stirred? When we sob aloud, the human creatures near us pass by, hearing not or answer not a word. And we hear not, for the wheels in their resounding, strangers speak at the door. Is it likely God, with angels singing round him, hears our weeping any more? 2 words indeed of praying we remember, and at midnight's hour of harm, our Father looking upward in the chamber, we say softly for a charm. We know no other words except our Father, and we think that in some pause of angel song, God may pluck them with the silence sweet together, and hold both within his right hand, which is strong. Our Father, if he heard us, he would surely, for they call him good and mild, answer, smiling down the steep world very purely, Come and rest with me, my child. But no, say the children, weeping faster, he is speechless as a stone, and they tell us of his image is the master who commands us to work on. Go to, say the children up in heaven, dark wheel-like turning clouds are all we find. Do not mock us, grief has made us unbelieving. We look up for God, but tears have made us blind. Do you hear the children weeping and disproving, O my brothers, what you preach? For God's possible is taught by his world's loving, and the children doubt of each. And well may the children weep before you. They are weary ere they run. They've never seen the sunshine nor the glory which is brighter than the sun. They know the grief of man without its wisdom. They sink in the despair without its calm. Are slaves without the liberty in Christendom. Are martyrs by the pang without the palm. Are worn as if with age, yet unretrievingly no dear remembrance keep. Are orphans of the earthly love and heavenly. Let them weep. Let them weep. They look up with their pale and sunken faces, and their look is dread to see, for they think you see their angels in their places, with eyes meant for deity. How long, they say, how long, O cruel nation, will you stand to move the world on a child's heart, stifle down with mailed heel its palpitation, and tread onward to your throne amid the mart? Our blood splashes upwards, O you tyrants, and your purple shoes your path, but the child's sob curses deeper in the silence than the strong man in his wrath. And that ends The Cry of the Children by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, who in her life was an activist, actively working to end child labour in the mines and in the chimney tops of England. So sad, I need cheering up after that. Can I request Alexander Beetle? You absolutely can request Alexander Beetle. Yes, it was a sad poem, and also a very interesting poem. I think one that is very excellent and rightly famous. If you're unable to add the request yourself, Doria, I'm sure that one of my... oh no, there it is. Forgiveness, Alexander Beetle appearing in the list. Okay. X37 is about to come back with another explainer telling us some more about the life of Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
While you're thinking of more poems to request, I thought I'd tell you some more interesting facts from my colossal storage and retrieval system. In the 1840s, Elizabeth was introduced to literary society through her distant cousin and patron, John Kenyon. Her first adult collection of poems was published in 1838, and she wrote prolifically between 1841 and 1844, producing poetry, translation, and prose. She campaigned for the abolition of slavery, and her work helped influence reform in the child labour legislation. Her prolific output made her a rival to Tennyson as a candidate for Poet Laureate at the death of Wordsworth.
Thanks for that, X37, and for telling us about those interesting facts. Let's have a look at what we have in our request list. We have Feelings, requested by... I've lost how to pronounce your name, but I hope you enjoy this poem. Feelings by Mr. Spike Milligan on our list. So I need to take this forward quite a few pages because this is at the end of our list. Oh dear, I don't have quite the right presentation open. I may have to do a little bit of messing about for a moment. So just hang about for a second while I look this up. This is Spike Milligan's poem, Feelings, since we don't actually have it on the presentation today. Feelings by Spike Milligan. There must be a wound. No one can be this hurt and not bleed. How could she injure me so? No marks, no bruises. Worse, People say, "My, you're looking well. God help me, she's mummified me. Alive." And that was Feelings by Spike Milligan. And I just need to bring things back to where I can see them. There we go. Feelings by Spike Milligan. Just as a quick discussion question for those who are visiting me today. Oh, hello, Ozjohn D. Welcome in. Wonderful to see you today. We've had a few visitors arrive. I should just have a look at what's been happening in the chat. We've had a few people come and go today. Well, welcome in to all my visitors today. It's great to see you here. Enjoying the show, I hope. So yes, I have a question for you. Brains Trust in the chat. Elizabeth Barrett Browning wrote protest poetry, among other things, seeking to influence lawmakers of the day on the issues of slavery and of child labour. What do you think? Do you think poetry should be apolitical? How do you feel about artists who use their skills to present a moral message or seek to influence public opinion? I would love to know what you think. Add your thoughts to the chat. And people, please be respectful of each other if you find people disagree. Robotham J, I love political poetry. I think poetry should be expressive. Thank you, Robotham J. I tend to agree with you. I think that poetry is a tool that can be used for expressing any idea and form. But that's my opinion. I'm interested to hear yours. So please add to the chat any thoughts that you may have regarding poetry and its place as a tool of politics, propaganda, social influence, etc. Let's have, while you're thinking about that stuff, let's have a look at what's next in our list of requests. And we have a request for The Raven this morning. I suspect I know where that request came from as well. I'm going to guess that that request was provided by Robotham J, and it was. Thank you for that request, Robotham J. I'm going to need to make my way back through the pages and make our way back to where we find Mr. Edgar Allan Poe's poetry. Edgar Allan Poe was our featured poet last week on the show. And here, for your enjoyment, is The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, written in 1845. We have some original art that I put together here of The Raven, as well as an illustration of the poet, also by me. The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore?" This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's plutonium shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master who unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore." But the raven, still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then, upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. "Wretch," I cried, "thy God hath lent me thee. By these angels he hath sent thee respite, respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend," I shrieked, upstarting. "Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. And that was The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe for Robotham J today. Another longer poem for us to get through, but a great one all the same. And we're back in the communications suite. Good to see everybody who's stayed around so far today. It's been great. I just need to take a quick drink of water. That poem dried me out just a little bit, so forgive me if you can hear me swallowing. There we go. That's much better. Let's see.
Excuse me, I'd like to tell another joke.
Oh dear, another joke from X37. All right, let's get it over with.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Haywood.
Haywood who?
Hey, would you open the door already?
Okay, that's at least better than the last one. Oh. But anyway, let's see. What is our next poem? Our next poem is by our featured poet again, back to Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And this time we're looking at a musical instrument by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Written in 1860 by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and it's not actually about a vampire, or maybe unfortunately it's not actually about a vampire. Depending on your point of view. What was he doing, the great god Pan, down in the reeds by the river? Spreading ruin and scattering ban, splashing and paddling with hooves of a goat, and breaking with golden lilies afloat with the dragonfly on the river. He tore out a reed, the great god Pan, from the deep, good, cool bed of the river. The limpid water turbidly ran, and the broken lilies a dying lay, and the dragonfly had fled away ere he brought it out of the river. High on the shore sate the great god Pan, while turbidly flowing the river, and hacked and hewed as a great god can with his hard bleak steel at the patient reed, till there was not a sign of a leaf indeed to prove it fresh from the river. He cut it short, did the great god Pan, how tall it stood in the river, then drew the pith like the heart of a man steadily from the outside ring, and notched the poor dry empty thing in holes as he sate by the river. This is the way, laughed the great god Pan, laughed while he sate by the river. The only way since gods began to make sweet music they could succeed. Then dropping his mouth to a hole in the reed, he blew in power by the river. Sweet, 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 O Pan, piercing sweet by the river. Blinding sweet, O great god Pan. The sun on the hills forget to die, and the lilies revived, and the dragonfly came back to dream on the river. Yet half a beast is the great god Pan, to laugh as he sits by the river, making a poet out of a man. The true gods sigh for the cost and pain, for the reed which grows nevermore again, as a reed with the reeds in the river. And that was a musical instrument by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Mrs. Browning was very versatile, drawing from classical mythology, from experiences of love, from the headlines of the day in many ways as well. Song list. Let's see, where are we? Looking at our list, we have another poem coming our way. But before we do that, let's take a look at our final set of facts about our featured poet today, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, brought to you by X37.
Hi. While you're all considering the last few poems you'd like to request today, I thought I'd tell you some more interesting facts about Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Elizabeth's volume Poems 1844 brought her great success, attracting the admiration of the writer Robert Browning. Their correspondence, courtship, and marriage were carried out in secret for fear of her father's disapproval. Following the wedding, she was indeed disinherited by her father. In 1846, the couple moved to Italy, where she would live for the rest of her life. They had a son known as Penn, Robert Wiedemann Barrett Browning, who lived from 1849 to 1912. Penn devoted himself to painting until his eyesight began to fail later in life. He also built up a large collection of manuscripts and memorabilia of his parents. However, since he died without a will, it was sold by public auction to various bidders and scattered upon his death. The Armstrong Browning Library has tried to recover some of his collection and now houses the world's largest collection of Browning memorabilia. Elizabeth died in Florence in 1861. A collection of her last poems was published by her husband shortly after her death.
Thanks for that, X37. Those facts were interesting. Let's have a look at our poetry request to see what's coming up next. Forgiveness, Alexander Beetle, for Be Like Dory, to cheer her up after the rather bleak, I guess, outlook of The Cries of the Children by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Forgiveness, Alexander Beetle, written in 1927 by A. Milne, who I have illustrated here. This poem has absolutely nothing to do with Conan the Barbarian or Arnold Schwarzenegger. I found a little beetle so that Beetle was his name, and I called him Alexander, and he answered just the same. I put him in a matchbox and I kept him all the day. And Nanny let my beetle out. Yes, Nanny let my beetle out. She went and let my beetle out. And Beetle ran away. She said she didn't mean it, and I never said she did. She said she wanted matches and she just took off the lid. She said that she was sorry, but it's difficult to catch an excited sort of beetle you've mistaken for a match. She said that she was sorry and I really mustn't mind. And there's lots and lots of beetles which she's certain we could find if we looked about the garden for the holes where beetles hid. And we'd get another matchbox and write Beetle on the lid. We went to all the places which a beetle might be near, and we made the sort of noises which a beetle likes to hear. and I saw a kind of something, and I gave a sort of shout. A beetle house, and Alexander Beetle coming out. It was Alexander Beetle, as I'm as certain as can be, and he had a sort of look as if he thought it might be me. And he had a sort of look as if he thought he ought to say, "I'm very, very sorry that I tried to run away." And Nanny's very sorry too, for you know what she did. And she's writing Alexander very blackly on the lid. So Nan and me are friends because it's difficult to catch an excited Alexander you've mistaken for a match. And that was Alexander Beetle, Forgiveness for Be Like Dory. I hope that's cheered you up a little bit, Dory. Nanny is a duffer. Yes, Nanny is a duffer. Okay. Let's see, where are we now? Got a smile from Tim Tam. Thank you for the grin. Let's see. There are a number of streamers that are my friends that I think are really worth checking out. I'd like to promote to you and suggest to you visiting a really great and very entertaining fellow by the name of Paul T. Entertainer. Here's his promo for you to take a look at. An Australian musician who regularly streams on Twitch, and really good fun to watch. He's a real laugh and just very entertaining. And that was his chief moderator there in the background, who is also great value. So consider giving Paul a look. He is really, really good value. And yes, Brizzy, his wife, his chief moderator in the background is Brizzy, who is his wife. And between the two of them, their show is really worth catching. So consider looking them up here on Twitch and checking them out when you get the opportunity. What else do we have in our list? We've got another poem coming up, another request poem, The Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert W. Service. Okay, I'm going to try and bring this one up. It'll just take me a little longer than usual because I don't have the right presentation loaded, so you won't be able to read along with this one. I hope I do it justice. The Cremation of Sam McGee. Here we go. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge, where I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the South to roam around the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were muching our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, through the parka's fold it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd closed, then the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe. He turned to me and, "Cap," says he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of moan, "It's the cursed cold, and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." A pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail, and we started on at the streak of dawn. But God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee, and before nightfall a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains." Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier and heavier grow. And on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labage, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in it twice. Trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then, "Here," said I, with a sudden cry, "is my crematorium." So planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I didn't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I did not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out, and they danced about, ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked. Then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, Please, close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold, and the Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge that I cremated Sam McGee. And that was Sam McGee for Robotham J. Oh, wonderful. Thanks for dropping by, Dory. Thanks for being here and taking part in the poems. And thanks for your marvellous emote that you've included there for us. Let's have a look at where we are in today's list. We've done all our poems for today, I believe. So that was our final poem in the final set. We've still got time for 2 more poems. Sorry, when I say that wasn't our final set, that was our 3rd set. We've still got 2 more poems to come. Let's see. Where are we going next?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yes, X-37?
I think we're about to get a visit from Deep Thought.
Oh, as usual, the timing's terrible.
Don't shoot the messenger. I just thought you should know.
Okay. Well, we can fit in another poem before he arrives. Let's see, what have we got in the poetry list? We don't have anything in the poetry list right now, so I might pick one myself to include. I think that I would like to pick something a little bit new, something we haven't done for a while. So let's take a look at When Daddy Fell into the Pond by Alfred Noyes. Just a little bit of fun. When Daddy Fell into the Pond. A little bit of original artwork there by me, illustrating Mr. Alfred Noyes. Everyone grumbled, the sky was grey, we had nothing to do and nothing to say. We were nearing the end of a dismal day, and there seemed to be nothing beyond. Then, Daddy fell into the pond. And everyone's face grew merry and bright, and Timothy danced for sheer delight. Give me the camera, quick, oh quick, he's crawling out of the duckweed. Click. Then the gardener suddenly slapped his knee and doubled up shaking silently, and the ducks all quacked as if they were daft, and it sounded as if the old drake laughed. Oh, there wasn't a thing that didn't respond when Daddy fell into the pond. A poem by Alfred Noyes. For those who've come in late, I think it would probably be worth our while to recap a little bit on what's been happening in our story to date. I am, of course, your host, the Deaf Writer and captain of the starship Pentameter. Just before the Earth was destroyed in the year 20,324, I was kidnapped by an intergalactic intelligence named Deep Thought, who mistook me for Dorothy Parker. Go figure. Deep Thought gave me my ship and told me to seek my destiny, whatever that might mean. I am now the last human being alive in the galaxy, and accompanied by my robotic first mate, X-37, I have made it my mission to keep human culture alive by beaming poetry into the cosmos once a week. Press-ganged into the service of the Krell Emperor, we were sent to investigate the sudden silence of some remote Krell outposts on pain of being skinned and boiled in vinegar. The first outpost we visited, Outpost 21372, appeared to have vanished without a trace. While investigating, we discovered a galactic enemy returning after 30,000 years to wipe out the advanced life forms in the universe. We arranged to meet with a Krell envoy to pass on the news, but no envoy arrived. We then tried to connect to the Emperor directly, but have not been able to get a signal through. We're now heading towards the second of the 3 outposts we were asked to investigate, but I have a very bad feeling about what lies ahead.
Hello, mere mortal. It is I, Deep Thought, the greatest intellect in the universe.
What is it that makes you think that you're so smart?
I would show you with a cutting insult, but it would be beyond your intelligence.
Just tell me what you want.
Before I do, why haven't you cloaked the ship?
The pentameter has a cloaking device?
When are you going to read the manual?
You never supplied a manual. I've been thinking this through, figuring it out as I go.
Hey,
With X-37's help, of course.
Really? Let me check. Oh. I must have overlooked this.
You're kidding me. You had this the whole time.
It was a clerical error.
Sure. Why not? Tell me what you want.
A poem, of course.
What poem?
A poem containing a special message just for you.
Okay. This should be good.
In fact, it's one you wrote yourself.
Really? Just name your poem.
Recite for me Disappointment by the dead deaf writer.
Was that a Freudian on your part? Deep Thought. All right, here's your poem. And the poem is Disappointment. We'll need to make our way through the pages to find it. An original poem by me. A somewhat pointed insult from our friend Deep Thought. Disappointment, written in 1999, when I was a young man looking at the older generation. Now I am the older generation and I feel a bit more sympathy for those who came before me. Changing the world is hard. I'm disappointed with your disappointment. I had hoped for better from your hope for better. And that was Disappointment by the deaf writer. And we go back. No, there. I read your poem. Now answer a question for me.
Assuredly. My colossal intellect has already divined what you wish to know. The largest piece of fossilized dinosaur poo discovered is over 30 centimeters long and over 2 liters in volume.
Not only was that not what I was going to ask, it was also disgusting.
Really? Are you sure?
Quite sure.
Oh well, what do you want to know?
Do you have any idea why the Krell envoy failed to show up at our rendezvous point?
You really aren't very bright, are you?
What do you mean?
I wanted Dorothy Parker. Instead, I got you.
Just answer the question.
The Krell envoy did meet you. Remember all that debris you found?
Yeah?
That was all that was left of the envoy.
The envoy was destroyed. This is getting dangerous.
I must be going, but I'd use that cloaking device if I were you.
No, don't dare. Oh, he's gone. Okay. Well, let's see. We've still got room for another poem. There are none in the request list, so I guess I'm picking another one to do to try to finish off our stream as we approach our destination. Let's see. What's a good one? Let's do Jenny Kissed Me, a poem requested for a friend of mine last week, by Lee Hunt, written in 1939. Jenny kissed me when we met, jumping from the chair she sat in. Time, you thief who love to get sweets into your list, put that in. Say I'm weary, say I'm sad, say that health and wealth have missed me. Say I'm growing old, but add, Jenny kissed me. And that was our last poem for the day. I hope that you have enjoyed the poems so far. As I bring us back to the communications suite.
Captain, we've arrived at our destination. This doesn't look good.
Oh dear. I think we're going to need to head off to our final destination for the mission. This looks really bad. What do you think happened here?
I don't know, but there seems to have been an attack. The entire city is destroyed.
Last time they made everything disappear. Why do you think there's some ruins left behind this time?
Perhaps they were in a hurry. Maybe we should hurry as well.
Okay. Why don't you lay in the coordinates?
All right, and in the meantime...
In the meantime, I'll run the credits. Let's go to the credits, folks, as we come to the end of this week's show. The original poems that you've heard by the deaf writer are copyright and cannot be used without permission. All other poetry is in the public domain. The artwork on the site is licensed via Envato GameDeveloperStudios.com or Microsoft. Poem illustrations are original works created by the deaf writer and subject to copyright. All sounds are licensed from Envato. The recording of Gymnopody is provided royalty-free by museopen.org. Go.animation was created by Jack Robotham. Poetry Quest game was also by Jack Robotham. This production is copyright 2025. No Krell were harmed during the production of this stream.
I have the black box on screen. It looks like our envoy was destroyed. Is there any sign of the human? No, Your Tallness. The human and his ship do not appear to be in the vicinity, nor is there any wreckage from the pentameter. Put out an alert. The human has betrayed us. Authorize all Krell vessels to use lethal force if they encounter the pentameter. In the meantime, bring back the black box so that we may determine exactly how this betrayal took place.